All right. Hey everybody, this is Eric here with Compose Music Now, and I'm going to make a quick guide today about how to use Sibelius. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you have the software. So you're going to go to avid.com/Sibelius to download Sibelius. The cost of this for Sibelius Ultimate, which is the version I recommend everyone get, unless you are a teacher or a university student or something like that. There are different deals that could be cheaper for you, so look around. But Sibelius Ultimate will work for most hobbyists and professionals, and that's what I have. I also really recommend this thing called Note Performer, which is an AI tool that makes your playback sound just a lot better than the default that comes out of the box with Sibelius, and definitely worth the investment here to get Note Performer. So that's avid.com/plugins/Note Performer for Sibelius with hyphens between those words, just like you can see up here. So go ahead and get these two and install it on your computer. And when you're done, on your desktop, you're going to have an icon like this, which is this big purple icon right here that says Sibelius. So we're going to go ahead and double click on that, just like we're opening it for the first time. And I'm going to show you how you can quickly get set up and start notating your own music in here. So when it starts up here, you're going to see this little box right here when it's loading. And eventually, once it's finished loading, it'll play this little song. And that way you'll know that Sibelius is ready to go. So let's just wait a minute and wait for that song to play. Here's Note Performer 3 loading up. And there's the song. Okay, so you're on this quick start screen here, and don't get overwhelmed. This is pretty easy. We're going to start by clicking on the New Score button right here. And we're going to click on the blank type of staff right here. And you'll notice that we get taken to this next screen right here where it asks us to set up the document. So we're going to keep the page size of letter here. You can switch between portrait and landscape if you want to, but we're going to keep it portrait here. That seems to work best in most situations. Now you also can even change the style that the music shows up as. So if you want more of a jazz type of thing here, or like a lead sheet type of look, you can have that, or just unchanged right here, which is the default, which is that classical kind of look to your sheet music. And then next, this is very important, you have this little button here called Change Instruments. Well, this is what you're going to click to add instruments to your ensemble. So let's go ahead and click it. And we have this library here on the left of all of the music, or all the different instruments that this program can use to make music. And then on the right are the ones that are actually in my score. So you can see there's nothing over here on the right. So let's start adding instruments from the left over to the right. Well, maybe harp could be one of them. So we'll click on the harp on the left, and then click the Add to Score button to move it here to the right. And you'll see that there are two things that just got added to the right, harp A and harp B. Well, what is that? Well, that's the bass clef and the treble clef. Any instrument that has a grand staff with two different staffs, so whatever that might be, piano or something like that, it's going to have two lines like this when you add it. So that's perfectly fine. So we've got our harp there. Now let's say maybe we also want to have some strings in there. Maybe we want to have a violin. And a second violin, there we go. Well, let's say we want to find another instrument as well, and we don't feel like searching through all of these different categories and expanding all of them and trying to find exactly what we want. You can even click up here and find an instrument. So let's say I want to find the timpani. I can type that, and it tells me that there are two timpanis in the list, one without a key and one with a key. Well, that's, of course, talking about the staff. Timpani can show a key just like a regular instrument, like a piano can in its staff, or it can have none at all. In this case, I'm going to say no key. And you'll see that it opened up this category here called Orchestral Unpitched Percussion, and the timpani is underneath that category. So we click on it again and add to score. So now we've got a very strange ensemble with timpani, harp, and two violins. So maybe we can even that out with something like a flute. So here we go, woodwind section. And maybe we can get us some low end with a tuba. Boink. So there we go. Here's our brass section right here that's been expanded. And way at the bottom of it here is our tuba. So we'll add that to the score. And now we have an ensemble. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this right here is the instruments that we want to have in our piece. Awesome. Let's click OK. And so now you can see in this preview on the left here, we can see the different instruments right here making up our ensemble right there. So it's just a little preview of what we'll be seeing once we're finished. Next, we're going to go ahead on the right here and continue on down the list and pick our time signature. We'll keep it 4/4 time just to keep this nice and simple. And then we can put in a tempo here. So let's say we want something a little faster, so allegro. We'll add in a metronome mark, and we'll make that like 130. This will be pretty quick. Continuing on, we've now got to pick a key signature here. So let's do one that I really like. I really like E major as a key signature. And then finally, let's give it a title here. And let's just say E major tutorial song. The composer is Compose Music Now. If I had a lyricist, I put it in here. And we'll just add a copyright in here just for fun. And we're not going to put any other information in here, but we'll just click Create. Again, we're going through this nice and quick just so we can get into the actual creation of the music. Now, the first thing that I want to mention is how to zoom in and zoom out when you're on the main screen here of Sibelius. And that is exactly where we are here. You can see that at the top, the home section right here is highlighted. So I'm going to hold down the control button on my keyboard. So I have it held down. And I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to take that middle wheel and I'm going to just scroll down with it. And you can see that I'm now zooming out. Same thing, if I hold down the control button and I take my mouse button and zoom in, I can zoom in just like that. I also can left click and drag and move it around like this. And so, in addition, if you don't have a middle mouse button on your mouse that you use, or if you're using like a laptop, maybe a touchpad or something like this, you can hopefully see that right there on my mouse. You can actually use the plus and the minus buttons on your keyboard as well. So hold down Control, and then hit plus to zoom in, hold down Control, and click minus to zoom out. So that's important to know before we do anything, is how to zoom in and zoom out. Next, we're just going to get right into it. How do you actually create music or add sheet music into Sibelius? Well, we have this thing over here called the keypad. And by default, it will appear. But if you don't see your keypad, you can go to the top here in this top menu and go over to the far right where it says View. And you'll see over on the right here, there's this thing called Panels. Well, make sure that keypad is clicked over here. And do the same thing here for transport. Make sure that transport is turned on. These are the two that you'll always want to have open, basically at all times, is keypad and transport. Transport will allow you to play back and listen to the music that you create, and keypad is what allows you to input notes and articulations, things like that. So let's just get started. Let's take our harp here. We know we're in the key of A major, so let's make a nice E major chord on our harp. So I'm going to go over here to our keypad, and you can see here that I have these different areas at the top right here. So you can see common notes, more notes, beam/tremolos, articulations, jazz articulations, and accidentals. These can actually be moved through with the different F keys. So F7 will let you select the first group of options here that correspond with the keypad on the right side of your keyboard. And so I'll explain what I mean by that. So this is called keypad, right? So you can actually take your your keyboard here, and on the bigger keyboards, or the old school ones where they had this thing over here on the right that had 0 through 9 and enter and plus and minus and everything. Well, this is called the keypad. And these buttons right here are actually what Sibelius uses to be able to input notes like really quickly over here. And so I'm going to put my keyboard down again. And if you have your Sibelius open, do the same thing. Have your keypad selected. Press F7 to make sure we have the first group of options here, common notes. And let's go ahead and press 6 on our keypad. Well, I just did that, and you'll notice that the option here for whole notes, the semibreves, has been highlighted and turned blue. And so now I'm actually ready to put that note down somewhere here on one of these instrument staff lines. You can actually see it kind of gray out right there like a ghost where my mouse is here. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. Move to the left. Boink. So let's pick E here. So E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Let's do a nice E major 7 chord right here. And I'm now going to press N on my keyboard to cancel out of the state for entering notes. So there's 2 states basically by default that you can be doing, which is entering notes or not entering notes. If you press N, you are in the state for adding notes. So press N on your keyboard and you will add notes. You'll see that I have this little gray thing here, this gray note that's appearing when I move my mouse around. And also on the keypad, something is highlighted blue right here. That means I am in the mode to enter notes. So I'm going to press N on my keyboard again, and you'll see that that gray note has disappeared and it's no longer there. And I can actually click around and do things without a note appearing. I can move around. So that's important to know. The letter N on your keyboard just for entering notes. And you can also achieve that by clicking over here on your keypad. So either with your mouse like this, we're now in note entering mode because you can see the like gray note here. So we can do that. Press N to cancel it. Or we can press something over on our keypad on our keyboard here. So I'll press 6 again. There we go. We can enter a note. So we know this is E, and we're in the key of E major. So we will do like G sharp minor for the next chord. So G. There we go. G sharp minor. And then the third chord, we'll make it B minor. Get that out of the way. Yeah. B minor, B major, I'm not sure what chord that is, but let's see here. So B. Let's see. D sharp. So B, D sharp, yeah, that's B major. And then F sharp, that's B major. And then B. Yes, this is a B major chord. Okay. So let's listen to it back so far. We've got some chords in here. And actually, what I'd like to do is arpeggiate these because arpeggiated notes sound really nice on a harp. So I'll show you how to do that. We're going to click on notations over here in the top menu. And you'll see we have this thing here of different techniques. And we're going to click over here at the bottom right for more and see all the techniques that are available. And we're going to look for one in particular, which is just called like an arpeggio. To arpeggiate a note. And here it is down here. So arpeggio, click on it. Didn't work. Let me try again. So click on this right here to select the chord. Click on the arpeggio. And there we go. And so we've tried to add the arpeggio here, but the problem is, of course, that it's too close to this 4/4 here, and it's all smushed up. So I need to make a change to the formatting here to make this arpeggio easier to see. And this is a common problem with Sibelius too, is things crushed up and not the way that you want it to look. So I'm actually just going to click on one of these notes, left click, so this one right here, and drag it to the right. And you can see that it is now made enough distance between the time signature here and this arpeggiated symbol right here. And I can go and drag it so it looks good like that. Awesome. So that one's arpeggiated. Let's do the same thing with the next one. I'll just click anywhere inside this measure to select the whole thing. and click on that arpeggio. And you can see, there we go. And it again has put it in a weird spot that looks pretty ugly. So again, I'm going to click on this note, just move it a little bit to the right. Very common when you're dealing with arpeggios or things like that for it to start, you know, by the default placement over another line and just look horrible, and you have to spend, you know, a lot longer than you hope making it look good. So this is something to be aware of, is you'll be spending a lot of your time just making little adjustments like this, but you can do it all with your mouse just by left click and dragging anything around. So we're going to go back now into our transport that we opened earlier. Remember, under view and transport, we're going to click on the left here on transport to go all the way back to the far left, and that corresponds with this green line here, which is our playback line. So wherever this green line is, when you click play, that's where it's going to play from. So by clicking on the left, we go all the way back, just like a, you know, tape machine, and we're going to click play. And let's listen. Nice. Okay, so nice and calm. Let's do something now with our timpani, and let's get some action going out of there. I think that maybe a nice timpani roll could be nice here. So I'll show you how to do a roll on a drum. We're going to start with a nice whole note like this and go over our timpani. And let's go to right here. That's an E, and so we're starting in the key of E, so we'll do this roll across all of them. Press N to exit note entering mode, and we will go ahead here and just click on the first note. It's turned blue, and we're going to come over here to the keypad, and at the bottom right here on the first group here of common notes, you'll see this thing called tie. I'll just click it so that we can tie that note over to this one, and we'll do the same thing for the next one. There we go. We're going to have a nice timpani note held across all three, but we're going to go back to the first one here, and we're going to go to the third group here on our keypad, beams and tremolos. And let's go ahead and click this one right here for 8 tremolos. You'll see that these 3 lines have appeared underneath it. And well, that's going to allow, you know, like a roll on the timpani. Do the same thing here, same thing here. And let's get a nice crescendo going across all of them. So I'm going to select all 3 of these measures right here where we have these tremolos happening, these rolls on the timpani. I'm going to go over to notations at the top here, and we're going to just click on crescendo. And you can see a nice big crescendo has gone across all 3. So the person that's performing this knows to keep that roll getting louder and louder as time goes on. And let's just go ahead and hear it. Here are our nice timpani roll sounds. See if it works or not. I think that what it's missing is a little bit of dynamics. So let's go ahead and get some dynamics in here. I would really like for this to be loud. And so I'm going to select the first note here of the timpani, and I'm going to press Control E. And you'll see that this line right here has appeared for me to start typing in text. I'm now going to hold down the Control button again and just press F. And you'll see that a fortissimo has appeared here, a dynamic marking saying to play this very loudly. And so at the end here, we'll go to this one. We'll press Control E again to do a new dynamic, and this time we'll do FS. Or FF for fortissimo. So we're going to go from a forte to a fortissimo, so from loud to very loud. And then we'll do the same thing down here for harp. We're going to click on one note of this chord, press Control E, and this time we'll do like MP for mezzo piano. So a little bit quiet, kind of in the middle volume. And let's see if this is a nice balance here between the harp and this timpani. Let's just hear how that sounds with these dynamics in there. Cool. It's weird, but it works. That's, I think, a little bit better. So let's now get something happening with the violin. We know again that this is in E major, and so maybe the violin can start on the 5th, which So E, F, G, A, B, which would be B. So let's go back to the first group here, and let's pick a quarter note, and let's start on B. We'll make that make that a G. Make that a decrescendo. I hear the volume of that going down, and the volume of this whole section going up, so we'll make that a crescendo like that. And again, we'll start this one forte. Yeah, I like it. So something like that. Again, you can kind of tilt these right here, these hairpins right here for your crescendos and decrescendos to look a little bit better than the default. Again, Sibelius is always trying to move stuff around on you, so you can click on anything and just drag it around if you'd like to try to get a better alignment of things, which I do a lot of times. So there's violin number 1 on the 5th, and let's make violin number 2 on the 3rd. And let's just hear how that sounds. So I just move that down 2 notes. You can actually select any number of notes, so one individual note, and then use your arrow keys up and down to move them. Or select a whole group and move them like this. And in fact, you can even move them a whole octave up or down. If I hold down the control button with either one note or a group of notes selected, so hold down control, and then I press the up arrow, they go up a whole octave. Down arrow, they go down a whole octave. And you can also see that whenever a note is out of range of what's either comfortable or possible to play for a professional or sort of common musician, they actually have the ability for you to control what the lowest and highest note is on an instrument, which is kind of cool. So we can see this is too low, so we'll go up another octave for this violin and keep it right where it was. And so let's go ahead now and hear how this sounds with our violins and harp and timpani together. Oh, another thing I want to mention, you can see that this right here has gotten reset, so I'm going to move that back. That's another thing to look out for with Sibelius that I think is annoying, is sometimes the changes that you make with your mouse to move things around can actually get undone. So it helps to frequently press Control F and save your scores. So Control S, save your scores frequently, because sometimes crazy stuff happens. And you can only press Control Z to undo changes so much. Another thing I want to mention, by the way, is if nothing is selected like this, every instrument will play back. But if one thing is selected like this, it will only play back the violin 1, which is what I have selected. Or if you have 2 things selected, like harp and violin, it will only play back these. So by selecting different things, you can actually control what instruments are played back, which is a kind of a neat little feature. So I'm going to deselect everything so that everything plays back, and let's just hear it. That sounded cool. Let's hear it again. I hear something there on the flutes, like a doot, 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 doot. So let's just go ahead and do that. I think that's a G, so we'll try that. We'll select where we want the flute to be. We'll press N so that we can get into note entering mode. And I'm going to go over on my keypad here, and I'm going to press 4 to make sure that we have the quarter note selected. And we'll just go boop, 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 boop. Press N to deselect note mode. And I'm going to select this whole area here, and I'm going to click right here at the top, which would be the asterisk on my keypad, and make these notes right here staccato. That's how you make notes staccato. And if I want to accent the notes, I can click the one right next to it, which is the accent mark. And that's how you can go ahead and stack different things. If I want to make it a flat, well, I can click the flat button, or if I want to make it a natural or a sharp, I can do that. You can actually click through here and see there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can add these things right here, which are called chakaturas right here, which is like a sort of a leading note right there. There's a lot of different things that you do with these right here. So you can get up to like 252nd notes, 128th notes. The really fast ones are in here. You can obviously add fermatas and things like that. The same thing that I showed you before. The arpeggio sign is actually here too. Your repeat bars are in here. So if I wanted to keep repeating this, I could click this and then just do that. You know what I mean? And keep repeating. Almost everything is done via this keypad right here. However, there are other things that you can do under notations here, so I'll just click on this right here to show you the different things that are under notation. So if you wanted to do an octave up or an octave down, they've got the 8VA and 8VBs here. You've got your pedal markings, you've got retardandos and accelerandos, and your pocos and your multos, so a little bit or a lot. Slurs are in here as well. A lot of different interesting things. If you're doing string writing, they've got vertical brackets for different types of divises, and a lot of different things right here that you can use to be creative with things. Vibrato markings, if you want to do that, glissando markings for harp and things like that. A lot of that is here. However, a lot of things as far as technique markings are also underneath text. So let's say that I wanted to come down here to violin number 2, right? And let's say that I wanted these first 4 notes right here to actually be pizzicato. Well, I can come up here to text, and I can click underneath styles on the one that says Piz, and you can see right here that another line has appeared indicating that I can start typing. Well, instead of typing, I'm actually just going to right-click, and I have this option right here of different techniques I can do. So let vibrate, divisi, arco if I had some effect that I want to undo, whatever. But in this case, I'm actually going to do pizzicato to indicate that these notes right here are supposed to be pizzicato. And then this last one right here, I don't want to be pizzicato. I want it to be just regular. So again, I'll click on Piz here for the technique, right click, and go to arco and just undo that. So the first 4 notes are pizzicato, and the last one is just a regular old bow stroke there for that. And then we have our flutes here, and what should our tuba be doing? Well, let's just give our tuba something to do. I'll go ahead and go back to this first group of notes here. I'll pick 8th notes and press N to enter note mode. And again, we'll just put these on E. And I'll do a disco thing here, like a doop, 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 doop. We'll play with the octaves here. Now, next I'm going to show you guys about copying. So once you have something entered in like that, you can click on a measure and press Control-C to copy. Click on another measure and press Control-V to paste. And in this case, I have them all selected still because they're all blue. And I'm just going to press up twice on my keyboard to get the G here. And then we know that it's, what do we have this landing on? B major, right? And so let's have this end on B. So G-A-B. So let's just hear what this sounds like. Let's see. There we go. Move this over just a little bit. It's trying to mess with my formatting here. And there we go. So we've got something in here for all of our instruments in our weird little short song. Let's go up to the transport here. You can see our green line is sort of in the middle of the second measure. So this time, instead of clicking on the left to go back to the beginning, I'm actually going to go ahead and click on this little gray thing here on this timeline and drag it with my left mouse all the way to the left. So you can actually go to any part of the song to play it back quickly without having to goof around with these arrows right here, which take forever, just by clicking on this little guy right here. So let's hear it. Play. Wow, that was definitely weird. Make one more adjustment here. I think the ending isn't as powerful as it could be. Delete these right here from the copying and delete that arco. So again, a lot of times when you copy stuff, you'll need to make changes because you won't need a hairpin or something, or an expression or some text from a previous measure that you were copying from. And so in this case, I actually want to do a crescendo right here. Same thing here, crescendo. Move these up just a little bit so they're in the same spot as the ones to their left. Move that to the left. And let's go ahead and make the tuba a little bit louder. So forte for the tuba. The flute, we're going to make as loud as possible. Fortissimo. We're going to decrescendo this whole group of notes right here on the flute. And then crescendo the notes below or on the next measure. There we go. Cool. And I think that's about all we can do. Let's give it one last listen now. And one other thing I'm going to mention here before we get to the end of this video is at the view area here. I mentioned before that keypad and transport are the most important ones to always have open. Well, mixer is sometimes important too. You can see here that our harp is lower volume than everything else. Let's just raise the volume of our harp. Raise the volume of our flute a little bit. Lower the volume of the tuba. And lower the volume of the violins just a little bit. There we go. And just to play around with the sound just a little bit. Now let's hear it. Wonderful. I think a lot more time could go into making this a catchier song, but it is a song. And so now that we have our song done, again, we're going to go up to the top here under File and click Save. And I'm now going to show you how to export the song. So let's say we want to take this composition back to our band and have everybody play their parts and everything. We can go File, Export, PDF, Score Only. So PDF, again, would be a print version. And we'll just keep everything default here. And we're going to save it to my default folder, which is my scores folder on my computer. It may be different on yours. You can click Browse here to save it anywhere you want, like your desktop or Downloads folder. But let's go ahead and click Export now. And it's done. And so let's go ahead now and open up that, and I'll show you what that export looked like. So let's see here. Documents, Scores, and this is called E Major Tutorial Song Full Score. Here it is, .pdf. And so here's what that PDF would look like right here. Get out of here. And it looks quite nice, actually. And obviously, if there's multiple pages on here, that would be pretty easy to do as well. But let's say we wanted to export this to video as well. I'll show you how to do that. Video is a little bit different than the PDF version. And a lot of times I actually make a different version completely for video. So once I get to this point right here where I have a PDF version and I'm happy with it, I'll come to File and then Save As. And I'll do something like give it a different name with dash, like video version or something like that. Let's click Save. And so now that we're in this version right here, what I'm going to do is go to Layout. And I'm actually just going to change up everything. So I'm going to go right here where it says Size. And I'm going to come down to the bottom where it says Custom Page Size. And I'm going to change this to Landscape Mode, just like this. And I'm actually going to get rid of some of the margins too. Make it more like this. Looks a little better. Let's click OK. zoom out. And so you can see I've actually put it in more of a format that is what you'd associate with video. And so this is, more of the 16 by 9 layout right here. And so I think that this mode right here for going under size and then custom page size and selecting landscape works a lot better, and getting rid of some of the margins, making those as small as you can. So when you have your score in a situation that looks more like this, come over here to File. Let's save again one more time just in case. And we're going to go to Export again. This time we're going to select Video. And the first thing we're going to do is come over here to the right and select Full HD for the resolution. And you can see right here that you get a little preview of what it looks like. And we're now going to do this thing over here called Use Score Layout. And that's extremely important that you select this option here called Use Score Layout. If you click the second option for use only these staves, a lot of times extreme problems can happen. Things will change and you'll have no clue why, and it won't look anything like the preview that you just saw when you were editing it. And so use score layout. This is so incredibly important. And you can see there's a lot of white space over here on the left and on the right and in the preview. And you can even play around with like the sizing to get rid of that. And I'll show you how to do that if you want less white space on the side. We'll go back to layout again. And we're going to go now to custom page size. And you'll see here that the width and the height are 11 by 8.5. And so what I'm going to do now is actually make the width like 13 and press OK. And let's try to export now. So video, full HD, use score layout. You can see that that white space right there has decreased. And if I took it even further to 15, I bet that would be just about gone. So let's go ahead and do that. So layout, size, custom page size. Our width is now 15. Now file, export, video, full HD, use score layout. And there we go. It's actually completely gone. So it seems like somewhere between 13, 14, and 15 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall is about the right place for exporting your score. But, it depends, of course, on a lot of different things like how many instruments are in there. And you'll want to play around with those settings underneath layout for the width until you get this export here under video perfect. Again, make sure that you use score layout. Very, very important. And another thing that I think is important is to uncheck this second option under display for use score paper texture. What this does is actually adds like a little bit of gray for the background instead of pure white. And so when you uncheck this, you just have pure white on the background. And in my opinion, that's easier for video editing to have just a pure white background. In case you want to add like overlays over it or whatever, if you want to fix something in post that you didn't catch. Like you can see here, this little FF right here isn't all the way over. Maybe you would want to fix that in post or something like that. I think having pure white works a lot better. So that's just my take on it. And so keep it here. It's going to come out as WMV format. Make sure this is selecting Note Performer instead of General MIDI for the playback. And just go ahead and click Export. And depending on the length of your project, how many instruments there are and how long it is, this could take anywhere from a few seconds to like half an hour or more. It all just depends. And so let's go check it out now that it's finished exporting. We're going to go right here and double click on the video. Yeah, so I mean, other than this little thing right here, this FF that I wanted to be over on the right, the fortissimo there, I think that this came out basically perfect. So I would goof around and change that over a little bit. Maybe have a little bit more space between the different staffs. I think they're a little close to each other, but this is pretty close to perfect for a video export. And so, yeah, that's basically going to be it for the tutorial here today. There's a lot of things, obviously, that I could go into, like the size of the staffs or the page breaks, being something other than 5, or how to add more staffs, which is just under home and then add. And eventually, if you add enough of them, you'll go to another page. Boink. And so there's a lot of things we could go into, like how to change like a section right here, or change time signature or key signatures, or clefs in the middle of a piece, changing what the bar line is, or adding repeats. There's a lot of different things and different symbols that we didn't go into in this video, but I really intended this to just be sort of a quick getting started guide right here and how to actually do stuff. So I hope that this was helpful and taught you at least somewhat about how to get started in Sibelius. If you have any questions for me, leave them down in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them in the next live stream or video. This video was actually made as a response to somebody on Reddit. I shared a recent harp video that I made, and they asked how they can get started with Sibelius, so I said I would make this. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. If you did get something out of this, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel and helps keep me motivated to keep doing these. And if there's anything else that you guys are interested in learning about, let me know, and if I can help you out with it, I definitely will. So that's it for now. This is Eric with Composed Music Now. Thanks for watching.